a really simple word game from scratch called Shiritori. Not like exactly from scratch, but with like a bit of a template to kind of show you like how it's done. Hopefully it won't be that complicated. Shiritori is a word game where a bunch of players kind of say words. So maybe my first word is sheep. Let's say we're playing with a category of animals. So I say sheep, and then Bob, who's next, thinks of a word, specifically an animal that begins with the last letter, which is the last letter of sheep is P. So Bob has to think of a word that starts with P, like penguin. And then Carol, who's next, has to think of a word that starts with N. Let's say an animal that starts with N. That's kind of hard. Okay, well, I failed. And maybe in this case, Carol would run out of time and lose. But that's how like Shiritori kind of works. So in English, you might call it word chain. But Shiritori is like kind of the Japanese name. It's more familiar to me. So I'm going to try to implement it. It should be kind of simple. The idea is this should serve as like a kind of simple template for other people to use to build their own online board games. So some technologies I'll be using include Vue, first of all. That is a JavaScript framework that I am kind of writing up right now. It's imported over here. And basically that's how we start with some data and show it on the screen. The second thing I'll be using is Firebase, which is a way to go ahead and synchronize this data between different computers, different players. So those are like the two main things I just want to cover today, like using Vue, using that, and maybe Bulma, which is a UI library, a CSS library specifically to make our buttons and like text boxes like look a little bit better than the standard ones. So this should already kind of load a little bit. I'm gonna go to so one thing I need to do first is run my entire HTML file, like serve it as a server. So that's python-m http.server 80, let's say 11. And then I can just go to localhost 8011 / and then this is the shiritori.html page. So shiritori.html. And I don't find anything. That's exciting. That's probably because Shiritori is inside component, so I need to move it out as its own file. Now it's in the main one-word directory. One more time. Okay, there we go. We don't see much. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe I'll give it a background color because it's really hard to see the white box right now. So background, let's say, make up some numbers, like a hex code that might look kind of okay. 420. Haha, 420. Need to add a semicolon here. And I guess I need to put this in the HTML actually. HTML. There we go. This is still kind of dark, so let's make it lighter. It's a little bit more pleasing on the eye, so like increase these numbers by a lot. 8, 6, 4. Okay, it's still kind of dark. Let's try but we're moving into the letters of the hex. A86. Good enough. Okay. So there's my mod tools box. That's the only thing that I have, and this button should do reset room. This is a function that I've already written, which goes ahead and sets the room in Firestore. Let's see. The most important thing about the room is the name, because that's that's kind of like the thing that uniquely identifies the room. So first off, I'm gonna go onto Firebase and create this room. So I already have a Firebase instance. So I'm gonna go to Cloud Firestore, and I'm gonna create not just a room, but the database of all different rooms. So this one specifically should be called Shiritori. Next. And I'll just create like a random thing that I won't be using. So Shiritori, that table is created. Cool. Now, I'm gonna fix the name of the room for now. So a simple way to do that would be to say input class equals input. So the first input is to tell HTML that this is an input. The second one is to tell Bulma that it's an input. That will make it look nice as a style. Let me see if I can show that to you really quickly. Input class equals input reset. No. Maybe that's it. That's all I need for an input. Yeah, it's this thing right there. Let me create a new box for it. Give class equals box. Again, the class are mostly things that Bulma uses to be able to style things. So here we go, reload. Yeah, there's the box, and it's an input. I can type this. Now, without this class into input, it would not look nearly as nice in Bulma. So let me show you that. Here, this is like the old style, the HTML view of things. All right, back to class equals input. We're going to say, save this, reload. Here we go. So for my first magic trick today, I'm going to kind of show you how to bind this input to something that's real. So in my data, we have, let's say, a player object and a room object. And one important thing of the room, again, is the name of the room. So I'm going to set it to be the empty string for now. And I'm going to bind it to whatever is typed into this input box. So let me put a title so people know that this is for the room, and then say v model. This is view model. The model for this input box should be the room.name. There we go. And then just to print it out, I'm going to type here, you are in, and then everything inside the double curly braces gets evaluated as like a JavaScript string, more or less. Room.name, exclamation mark. So let's try this. And if I type in hello or my favorite room, you can see it immediately shows up here. Cool. Really, really basic, but this is the start of our cool application. Now over here, I have the Vue DevTools installed, which lets me go in and take a look and see, in fact, that I have two objects in my data. One is player, one is room name. All right, here we go. So the next thing I want to do is start with the name of the room and upload it into my Firestore database. And for now, I just have some kind of really dummy structure of the room. So the reset function that I have built should take this and then upload it using this set room function that I've implemented. It's from my network code called firebase-network. And it does actually basically takes the name of the room and then sets the contents of that room to that. And it will show up here as that, as like a mapping of the document name. In this case, it will be, let's pick a default name of default room. So the name of default room should show up in here with this field of like not started, there's no rounds, there's no history yet, but those fields should exist anyways. To make this work, I'm also going to need to keep the name of the new room I'm creating. So this name should go to this.room.name. So what's going on is I'm creating a new object with the same name, and everything else is reset. That's why this is called reset room, right? And then I'm going to call my helper function set room, which is going to just take the contents of this room and upload it on Firestore. There's an await here because I need to wait for this. This is a slow kind of asynchronous action. So await means that my code will wait for it before it continues on. In this case, I don't have anything to do afterwards, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. But if I had some other code like console.log done, this is like a print statement, right? This would only print out after I'd finished the network trip. And this is important because network connections can be kind of slow. Sometimes they'll take like a few seconds and the user won't notice. Firestore is nice, and that's usually fast enough that the user will not notice. That's one of the reasons we like working with it so much. All right, back to work. We are trying to validate that our reset room functions work. So basically, reset room is going to get invoked when this button that we've created that has the text, reset room, is clicked. Let's see if that works. So default room, you are in default room. I'm gonna click reset room. Nothing happened here, but in this, oh, nothing happened here too. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's go look in the JavaScript console to see what failed, what broke. Oh, that's interesting. Let me try reloading the page one more time. The thing that's interesting to me is that I think I'm loading this from the wrong location, but nothing's complained to me that, like, for example, the set room function doesn't exist. Well, I'm gonna try fixing it anyways. Removing this dot, reloading, Control-Shift-R, and clicking reset room a couple times. But nothing's getting uploaded to. Let me try logging. Console.log. The other thing I could try doing is doing print statement debugging. And done is showing up. So set room is getting called. Oh, I know what's going on, I think. I didn't actually change the name of the Firebase database. This has to be Shiritori. This has to map to the document I just created. Because probably what I did is inside of the old room, encrypt, I probably was overwriting default rooms. Let's see if I can prove this. I'm gonna check out the name of here, and this is going to be default room, apply. It should exist, and it should have those fields that I just filled in. Yep. So second time's a charm. I'm going to try uploading default room again. Actually, I probably need to refresh this page. Upload default room, and then I got missing or insufficient permissions. Okay, that's good. That actually means that I just need to make a simple change to my Firestore rules. Here I have a bunch of rules about which tables I can write to. So you can see that rooms and content and encrypt, these are all different games. So I'm just gonna pick one more and say, copy it. And this one is my Shiritori table. So I'm gonna let anyone read or write to it. Shiritori. Shiritori. There we go. It's saved, and I should be able to refresh. I don't actually even really need to refresh, but let me try one more time. There, it worked. Done. So I should be able to take out this print statement now. I should be able to check my table. And then see in the Shiritori thing, default room is created. Cool. Now if I change the room name, default room 2, I'm gonna reset it, and it is showing up. There we go. So this is a combination of Vue right now, this very simple Vue app that I've written, and Firestore, where when I do something, like if I click this button, it's going to make the Firestore call to upload this onto a cloud instance. Now, this isn't very interesting yet because all I'm doing is setting the room to be one thing. Let's do something else in terms of being able to add information to the room. So in Shiritori, right, the goal is generally to have a player name enter a specific word. So I'm trying to think through how I even want to structure that in my room. So I currently have two things, right? Round and a history. Let's say we're going to try to play Shiritori over 3 rounds. So everyone's going to get to go, what is a round? Yeah. A round, let's say, is a sequence when everyone gets to have played once, like said a single word. And we're going to try to do that 3 times. And what's inside the round? What's like the contents of a round? You might think you would need to remember who has said something and what else? Who is, and what they've said, basically. Maybe that's it. So you would just need like a mapping of something like names of people to the words that they have said. And maybe that's all I need for the round. I'm gonna create a separate object for it just to be a little bit safer. And let's just call this like words. And it's gonna be a mapping of players to, what is it called? To their words. So for example, it could be like Austin mapping to sheep. So it is empty right now though, and that is fine. Now I need to also have a place for people to be able to enter their own names in. So I'm gonna make that input class equals input the model equals player.name. So conceptually, player should be things that are only visible, only used for this client room. Source of shared data across all players. So this is kind of the source of truth. And player has things that are like only used for this like client, this like user interface. So in this case, we have like something like a name, and then let's say Austin for now will be the default name. So you are in default room. I don't need this anymore. I'm just gonna say the room is default room and the player is Austin. I'm gonna bold these a bit because now they'll make it like a little bit easier to read. Let's see, bold. All right. Yeah, there. Now they look like nice labels, kind of. Honestly, I kind of want like a line break here, but I'm not gonna optimize this too much. Okay, so this is the first section, and this is the kind of last section, the mod tools, the reset room. Let me just extend the gameplay on below this the first section. So let's say, actually no, let me create a new section for it. So the first section is kind of like login section, box. So this is kind of like credentials maybe, or login. This is where the game goes. And then this is the mod tools. Mod tools are really useful both for developing and also for like managing the state of a game while you're playing. What is going on in the game? Well, Shiritori the game should have a certain number of states. You not started is a common state, but also you could have Actually, Shiritori maybe doesn't let us out to having like states that well, because like one word has states. You could be like in the cluing state or the giving state, but Shiritori might just actually not need this concept at all. So it's a shame, but I think I'll leave it out for now. And then let's see, the game itself, you would need a place to type in your word. Whoops, that was not the shortcut I wanted. So it's definitely an input of some kind. And then where does this go? So in my head, it could go into two places. It could stay on the player until we hit the submit button, or it could be synced directly into the room thing. But I think saving it on the player is an easier thing to do. So player.word. And then I'm gonna say word is the empty string for now. And I'm probably also gonna need the submit button. So that's, let's see, button class equals button, and then at click. So this function will actually upload the word for my player. And let's go implement that now, because that's going to be kind of a fun one to do. So let's do async because it's going to do a Firebase call, so it's going to be like slow. Am I not playing music? I should be playing music. All right, there you go, music. All right, so async submit word. And then this is basically just gonna take the word out of, well, first let me refresh to show you the box. Take the word out of this box. Let me add a header for that. Submit word, so I have a label for the button, and then the submit your word. over here, this will be the place where I can just type in, right? So let's see, submit your word. I just need to pull this information out of submit your word, which is modeled to player.word. And it should go, let's see, into round.words, right? So all I need to do for that is submit, no, I need the Firestore thing, which is update room. So basically, oh wait, update room. And update room takes two functions. We're gonna take a look at this. It's in Firebase Network. Update room. It just has to go in and take a room, which basically it just pulls out the name of the room to identify what room to write things to. And it needs an update, which is a mapping of the thing you wanted to change in the room. It's usually a string to the thing that you're changing. What does that mean? Let's see. So this dot room, that one's kind of simple. And then the actual update I want to do is I want to change the rooms, the rounds of the words of the player. So that would look like basically round dot words dot, and for now I can say Austin. And this needs to be whatever the heck is in this submit your word thing, which is this dot player dot name, sorry, word. Okay. So one thing you have to watch out for is whenever you're typing code inside your Vue app to reference things in your data, you're gonna have to prefix it with this dot room, this dot player dot word. But you don't have to do it when you are typing code in your HTML. So over here, it's not this dot player name dot name, it's just player dot name. So this can kind of bite you badly if you forget the this here, and it'll just kind of say probably something like, oh, like I can't figure out what room is. So like, I'll try it here. If I remove this, and try to reset room, it'll tell me room is not defined. And usually that just means, oh, I forgot to put this dot room. I think it's probably okay if you actually put this dot in your HTML though. So maybe the safer thing to do is always put that in. Yeah, like this still works, right? So whatever. Okay, but I don't know. I don't like seeing this. I wish these thises didn't exist either, and everything would be cleaner. Okay, so you'll notice this is kind of hard-coded to Austin right now. That's a little bit unfortunate, but let's see if it works for now. So my word again was sheep. Let's submit it. Nothing happened, so hopefully it worked. How do I tell? In default room, the brown.words.austin is sheep. Cool. So again, if I change my player name and it hits sheep, like, I don't know, penguin, I said this should be Bob. What's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna overwrite on my table, my sheep to be a penguin. The reason is that this part, this name is hard-coded. So let's fix that. I'm gonna use what's called string interpolation. So this should be dot. And then string interpolation means I use a string that's created using backticks instead. I'm gonna put in this dot player dot name. So this will automatically fill with this dot player dot name, and the rest of this will just be part of the string. And then when you use backticks and string interpolation, you just have to kind of wrap it with a bracket when you're using something like array syntax. The other thing I could have done is like extract this out as like a constant, like const like update path equals this, and then like update path. This is maybe even like better code, but like I'm kind of lazy. I like combining things, so I'm gonna undo it all. Here we go. And now I expect that if I refresh this page, change the default player to be Bob, and then submit a word for Bob like penguin, this should now work. Austin, penguin, Bob, penguin. There we go. I'm gonna change my own word back to sheep. Make sure that still works. Hit submit word. There we go. Austin, sheep, Bob, penguin. Perfect. So you might think, oh, it's kind of annoying to have to go back every time to like look on this Firestore thing. I want to see it in my app, and that totally makes sense to me. So let's do something really basic just to show what the contents of the current room are. Let's see. I'm going to use a v4 actually. What does that mean? It's a fancy object. So for every word in the words dictionary, in the words map, I'm going to output the name of the person as well as the word that they chose in a new paragraph. So V for the current round's words. So room dot words, and then I'm going to iterate through both the keys and the values. So the values generally have to come first. So for the word and the player in room.words, now I'm going to be able to access word and player as if they were, regular JavaScript variables. So let's see, B, I'm going to bold it, player. Actually, I'm not going to bold this one. I'm going to bold the word instead. So just say the player's word was, and now I'll bold it, word. So I saved it, it reformatted it, and I'm hoping, okay. I'm hoping that if I add a new word here, so like sheep, it'll show up, but it didn't. So maybe I did this wrong. The room has a name of default. Oh, you know why? It's because locally in my current data, I don't actually have the thing that is in this default room. There's two ways I could solve this. I could try to download this data every time something happens, but that's kind of annoying to think about in my app logic. I would rather automatically have my application just always be up to date with here. So I actually have a little bit of magic to make that work. It is called listen room. So listen room takes in a view app. That's a view app is this thing. It takes in the thing that is created by view, and then it will listen to the room.name of the view app. And then anytime it changes, we're just gonna overwrite it with the data that we downloaded. So that sounds like exactly what we want. Let's just do that. When this app is created, immediately as it's created, we're just going to listen room for room this.room. That means that we'll basically get any updates to this.room and also download it to begin with, I think. Let's try. Okay, maybe I was wrong about the downloading to begin with part. But maybe we'll get the updates after something changes. Let's test that. I'm gonna upload sheep again. And nothing happened. Oh, it's sad. Oh, there's an error, that's why. Cannot read property name of undefined in listen room. So basically this had an undefined. Oh, I'm not supposed to pass in this room. I'm supposed to pass in view app. Silly me. So listen room with this. That should be good enough. Okay. So now if I submit a word like one more time, sheep, submit, nothing happens. Cool. That's not exactly what I was hoping to see, but this room.round.words did have sheep and penguin, so that's correct. So maybe the problem right now is just with my, oh yeah, room.round.words. So one more time, Control R. There we go. And yes, I was right. Austin word was word. Oops, that's a mistake. This is supposed to be the string interpolation of word. Okay, so Austin's word was sheep, Bob's word is penguin. And let me just actually prove to you that this is a game that is now networked in real time. So if I change my name to be Carol, and then I'm gonna say, what starts with N? I still don't know an animal that starts with N. Okay, animal that starts with N. Narwhal. Okay, why didn't I think of that? So Carol is gonna submit narwhal. Submit. And you can see on left and right, it immediately updated. So honestly, there we go. This is, you can think of it like a really simple chat application. It's a really simple game. It's all you really need to get started with having a view application that is networked. Now I believe I can click reset room. Everything's gonna disappear and I can start over. Submit your word. So Austin word is, let's pick a different category this time. How about I don't know anything about Pokemon. Countries, sure. Albania. Starting with A again. Okay. Bob thinks I don't like A, so I'm gonna change it to something else. Is Alaska a country? I'm not sure that it is. There aren't that many A countries out there. Azerbaijani? Bajan. Sure. And then Carol, the sneaky girl that she is, she's gonna say, and how about Nigeria instead? Going back to A. There we go. There we have a kind of like a simple game that's working. Austin's word was Albania, Bob's word was Azerbaijan, Carol's word was Nigeria. All right. Honestly, that's like probably a lot already to take in. This is kind of a simple game. What else will we need for this game? I'm gonna get rid of this state thing. I'm gonna keep this. Oh, a computed function. This is a really useful concept in Vue. I'm trying to figure out what a good way of using this is. It might be to show you like the current score. Basically, the idea of computed is that it takes whatever is in data and it turns it into something that's useful and like you can access it. It's like a cached version of the things in data. So it's like maybe a helper variable too. That's a helper function. We don't have enough like logic in here that I can immediately think of like what would be useful. Oh, how about like if we validate that all the players' words form a chain, or like we print out what that chain looks like. So the chain I want to see is like Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. Like this is the way I want my chain to kind of look. Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. Something like that, right? So let's say computed. The chain, and this is going to be all of the computed things are functions. So and then I'm going to need to pull out the words in here as a list of words maybe. And one thing that you might think about is like, how are these ordered? I think they're actually alphabetically ordered. So I'm gonna hope that that is the case for now. So in order to get these words, I can do object dot values of this dot room dot round dot words. So this actually gives me an array. So let's say const chosen words equal. So this is an array of the values, probably Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. And honestly, I can just return that for now. And I should see my chain function work correctly. So let's refresh. Control-Shift-I. Go into Vue, and we'll see that chain did not evaluate correctly. Why is that? Cannot read property words of undefined. This dot room. This dot room dot round dot words is the right thing though. Object dot values. Oh, well, chain itself isn't the right thing to return. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we got the array of Albania, Azerbaijan, and Nigeria in the order that we were expecting. So let's join them together by saying, well, the simple way to join them together for now is to join them with maybe an empty string. So just gonna be like all side by side. And let's just use that. The word chain you made. And then here we'll say chain. And let's put this in bold. Okay. Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. And you might think, cool, except for the part where like these should not be overlapping. How can we get rid of that? Well, that's an interesting question. My first thought is we could like lop off the last like letter always, and just except for the last one where we have to add it back in, or we could lop off the first letter. Same difference, kind of. This is almost like an interesting interview / problem, like the more generic case too, right? Like if you have more overlap, like you have a country that starts with like Niagara, if that was a country. If you want to like figure out how much overlap to put them in and join them together. I don't want to accidentally nerd snipe myself though. So what's the simplest way of getting just this portion to work? In my head is probably just like lop off the chosen words except for the last one. So chosen words, and the way I can do that is by mapping them. So each word, I'll just slice the word dot slice, and that basically just takes off a certain amount. So if I start them all starting from the first word, then they should be like Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. Let's test that. Yeah, Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. So this is almost right. I just need to add back the A from Albania. So let's say chosen words of 0 plus. So this isn't like, foolproof. There's like, if chosen words is empty, this kind of doesn't do the right thing, but who cares? There we go. Albania, Azerbaijan, Nigeria. Cool. If I reset room, then maybe this is going to break because it's this property of undefined. So how do I validate this? If chosen words is empty, then we'll know. So return if chosen words is empty, just return empty string. There we go. Huh? Maybe chosen words does exist. Words. Oh, is an empty array valid to true? That's kind of annoying. Boolean or empty array. Yeah, it does. Okay. So I need to check the length instead. Length equals 0. Cannot read property words of undefined. It's an annoying error. Everything looks like it's still working, but let's go with that again. Yeah. Where is it getting used? Cannot read words of undefined. It's if the room.round it does not exist. So I guess I could solve it by probably putting a dummy round variable. It's not that important. Sure, and then I get a different error set. It's not important enough. I'll just kind of let this error sit here for a bit. But essentially, it's happening because before I actually finish the list room, this part doesn't render correctly. One solution would be to not render this until the room itself is loaded. So I could just do that with vif equals room dot round, maybe room dot. What doesn't exist until we go into round. Sure. So yeah, you can see it starts off empty and it only loads after the room is loaded. Okay. What if I change this? Interesting. Oh, probably because it's hard-coded to default room anyways. So let me actually just disable this input because I don't actually want people changing it. Disabled. And can spell things. The room is default room and it's disabled. Cool. Player is Austin. I can change that. Submit your word. I'll take off this colon. Okay. Now what if I do something like so let's say it's Bob's turn to play. and they want to submit a word that doesn't match with P, like cat. We're probably gonna get sheep at, but that's not good. I actually wanted to prevent them from submitting. So let's do that logic. I need to probably read through the current round of players and then figure out if I'm allowed to submit. One thing that's kind of annoying is about the sequencing. Shiritori is a game that you need to play in a specific order, I think. Like, oh, we go Austin, then Bob, then Carol, and it's gonna be like kind of alphabetical order, right? So whether you can submit will depend on whether your word ends with the letter of the previous like person, right? Let's see, how do we make this work? One thing we could do is like make a computed function for the array of all players, which we probably want to do anyways. Do we have a map of the people who are actually playing this game? We don't yet. Normally what we would do is we would create like a enter room function, and once they enter, their player name is set, and then they have to and then we know like how many people are playing this game anyways. So basically the room should have a players field. Maybe we could do that. Players. And then when we reset the room, we can have like a join room function basically that just adds, inserts the player into the room. Let's write that. Async join room. And then this is a lot like submit word, except instead of updating the round.words, we want to update the room.players. Players.player name, and then what does the player have to have? Let's say it should be a timestamp, like time of when they joined. Let's say that's date.now. So this just returns like what is it called? Epoch, like a number of seconds since 1990, I think, the Unix timestamp, or something along those lines. And then playing can be true, or something like that. You could have things like, oh, what team they're on, maybe. And then we can disable this if they are already in the room, maybe? No, that sounds kind of annoying. Let's not worry about this. But we will have the join room button now. Button class equals button join room. And then when you click this, you do join room. So when I click join room, I should see root. Yeah, players has Austin and the time when I joined. Awesome. So next, the thing I can do is maybe list out the people who are currently playing. So let's do that. So let's not call this players, actually. Let's call this people, because maybe you have spectators who are not players. And then what else do we have? Players. Players, that should be people. And then where else are we using players? Cool. And then players will be instead the computer function who's actually playing. And the way we know that is we're gonna take the list of currently playing people. Players, this dot room dot people. So once again, this is the list of the people, except I want the keys this time. Oh, I want the entries actually. So this is kind of complicated, and I'm going to try to sort them. So the parameter of object.entries is a pair. The key is each player, and then the value is the kind of the data of each player. Data being my lazy way of saying this. And what I want to do with it is sort it by the timestamp. So that's a data.timestamp. Oh, sort is a function that should take in two things. So this is going to be kind of verbose, but let's say here, P1, D1, P2, D2. I'm going to sort by the timestamp, D2.timestamp minus D1.timestamp. So this is going to produce a sort of the arrays, and then I'm going to want to filter it or map it basically to only return the player names. So now the players who joined first, those are going to be the ones who come out of the players array first. Dot map. Let's see. Player data to player. I think I need to wrap this in parentheses to indicate that this is a function. There we go. So sort map. Okay, so I'm going to return this, and then in my HTML, I'm going to try to validate that this is showing up correctly by now playing, and then just take the players and then join it with like a comma, for example. There we go. So no one's playing, but I'm going to join, and now someone is playing. And then I am also going to, Bob is going to join. And now there's Bob and Austin playing. And I think I want, I mixed up my sorting, so I'm just gonna flip it around. So, because Austin should be coming first, right? And I also need to check that it's not just sorting by like name, so like Valley, let's say, that's a real name. So yeah, it looks like it's first, the third, second, first. So I'm just gonna switch the order by switching the timestamps. Here, D1.timestamp minus D2.timestamp. There. Now we have a stable order for the players who have joined. This looks kind of ugly, so I'm gonna make it show up on a new line, maybe two new lines actually. So let's start with one, see how that looks. Yeah, it's like kind of good enough. This is not a game that's winning any design awards anytime soon. All right, don't need that, don't need that. But yeah, now we have a game, and we have kind of an ordering to the players. I'm almost done with Shiritori at this point, honestly, or at least for kind of a basic version. I'm not currently doing anything with like the round history, but that's maybe okay. And I'm not doing things like enforcing, like whose turn it is. Maybe I should. How would we do that? We'd probably try to keep track of a thing in the current round. So like, you'd have like a turn. And then like who's currently up. So then you can only submit your word when it is your turn, let's say. And then the turn should go through Austin, then Bob, then Bally. So how would that look? In order to initialize whose turn it is, we should start it with the person who created the room. So when we reset the room, at least, turn. Actually, no. When the first person joins, how about that? So that's in join room now. If there's nobody around turn, nobody's turn, then we also need to update the room so that we set the turn of the whoever's going to be, let's see, people, no. Oh wait. So room.round.turn should go to this dot plane. I'm gonna probably have to reset here because my room's in a bad state already. So let's just do that now. Ooh, shit, the reset function broke. Cannot convert undefined or null. Ooh, this is kind of really annoying because I don't know where this got introduced. Oh, it's probably because something like one of these object.entries thing isn't actually a thing. So I'm gonna just do this. This means or, so if this is false, then this will evaluate to true. It's kind of like a shortcut. Okay, there we go. Let's see now. Default room, join room, playing, submit your word. And if my word is, oh, I'm not even playing yet. So we should probably prevent people from submitting until they're playing. I can leave that as access to the reader. We should definitely only let you submit if it's your turn. That's all the same thing actually. So let's do this. Div v-if equals, so only when it's your turn equals player.name. Submit, allow player to submit. It's their turn. And then yeah, div. So that's like an if statement, and then the else is waiting for whoever's turn it is. So that would be around dot turn. Let's see here. Something broke, maybe? Cannot read property turn of undefined. Oh, this should be room.round.turn. Silly me. Did I also just use it round.turn somewhere? No. Waiting for, yeah, blank, that makes sense. So I'm gonna join the room. And I thought this was supposed to actually make, like, upload the thing. Oh, this should be a stuff round. I actually warned you about this exact error earlier. So, join room. Okay, and then now, yeah. Maybe I should say it's your turn, just so that it's your turn. Name. Submit your word. All right. And then hypothetically, if Aaron was to join, I'm picking a alphabetically before me name to make sure that we're not dependent on the alphabet anymore. Aaron, join room. So Austin and Aaron are playing. We're waiting for Austin. So basically, I'm going to want to type submit and then have it be Aaron's turn next. So how would that work? I need to progress this on submit. So on submit word, update room, and then the other thing I want to change about the room is who's next. So round.turn equals next player of. So this should basically just be a function that takes in this.player.word. So who the current player is and what the list of all players is, and just figures out who the next player should be. And that shouldn't be too hard. So the list of all players, again, that's already computed. That's this.players. And then the current player is this.player.name. So by doing this, we're going to update our Firestore. And again, we push all the updates to Firestore kind of directly, and then our room will just automatically update. Download the initial room. Hard-coded to. Actually, I don't even need to mention that. Okay, download the listen room and listen to all updates. I honestly probably don't even need this empty words array either. Because I want to like describe the ideal. I guess I could probably do it this way. Okay, and then ideally this just kind of is like a loop. So Austin's next player is Aaron, Aaron's next player is Austin. Let's implement that helper function. This doesn't even need to be a view function, it could just be a regular function. So function next player, and then players, and then current. So just find the index of the current player. That's players.index of current. And then const index equals, and then just return that, basically return that mod the length of players. And then probably add players.length in case this is -1. And it could be -1 because it's not in the players array, in which case we'll just start with Austin again. And then all of that, players of index. So this could also be like a single line function, I think. So if I did all my coding right, which I honestly should test, but I'm just kind of like an overconfident person right now. So, ooh, where'd that go? Here we go. And then here we go, I think. Austin, Aaron. I actually have to refresh this room probably. So Austin. Oh, actually that's interesting. It overwrites the last player. But okay. Anyways, it's Austin's turn, and after Austin is Aaron. So I'm gonna say sheep, submit word. And that's not good, because it was supposed to update the turn to be Aaron's turn. Let's figure out why that didn't happen. Huh. Next player. Maybe my next player function is broken? Oh, I need to add one, probably. Yeah, that would indeed mean that it is broken. So I'm already in the room. Let's say sheep, submit word. Now it's Aaron's turn, I think. Why isn't it Aaron's turn? It says waiting for Aaron. Oh, but this player is Austin, not Aaron. Silly. Okay, sheep, penguin, submit word. And the word we made is penguin sheep. Oh, I need to have chain show up in the order of the players array. Because otherwise it goes in alphabetical order. and I get like something weird like penguin sheep. So how do I do that? If I go through, I probably just need a map here. Map players. So this dot players dot map, and then for each player, I'll just return the word instead. This dot room dot round dot words of player. Yep. So I can use this instead of this. Let's try that again. Nice. Sheep penguin. This is probably also sheep penguin if I have one more person join, who's Carol. Let's see, Carol should be playing. Join room. Oh, but the problem is it just went back to Austin. That's okay. We can maybe run a quick round. So I'm just gonna overwrite these words again, aren't I? So narwhal, submit word. That broke, that's not good. Cannot read properly, slice of undefined. Oh, it's because Carol's word doesn't exist. Ooh, interesting. How do I make this resilient? Oh. Or I guess a empty string or something like that. Okay. Sure. So normally what should actually happen instead of like rerouting to the front is that I actually like create a new round. But I don't think I want to actually quite get into that. I feel like this is like about a good amount of complexity for a single like Shiritori application. So let's just say penguin, narwhal. Let's reset, why not? So I'm gonna have it refresh, and then this, Carol can refresh too. This is Austin's joining. Next is Bob. Finally is Carol. Join room. What I would normally do is actually implement a feature so that you can go like !_ player equals Austin, and then if you refresh, you'll go back to this URL and I'll pull out the URL parameter and log you in using that. That's what I use in development most of the time. But here, let's go sheep. Now it's Bob's turn. Nice. Narwhal. Terminate word. And now it's Carol's turn. How about lion? Cool. We made sheep. That's not right, is that? Oh, it's because we went from sheep to narwhal somehow. We left out penguin. Sorry. That means we do some like verification, right? But anyways, it's Austin's turn again. So after lion should be lion should be N again. Newt. How about that? And now it's Bob's turn. So Newt should be what's a T animal? Tiger. That one's easy. And then an R animal would be rabbit. That's also easy. Cool. So you can see the kind of unfortunate thing is that we're just kind of overwriting each other's words. So we can probably fix that by in the submit guess, in the submit word time, in case we are done, we could probably append it to history. How does that work? So if everyone's word has already been submitted, after this, we write the current round into history and create a new round. So if Austin.word, no. So we're done when the number of the size of chosen words, basically of round out words, is equal to the number of current players. So if players dot length this dot players dot length equal, or is greater than me for some reason. If this dot room dot round dot words dot, so you can't do length, so it'd be like object dot keys this dot length greater than equal to this dot players, and then everyone has submitted time for, and I guess we'll just like reset everything here instead of like continuing from the last word, which is the right thing to do in Shiritori. That'll be an exercise to the reader. Let's say I need to update round to be like a clean new round. So update should be round, and it should look like turn of next player. So probably if it's track not player, const next player equals. I think that's okay, but let's say it does that turn is next. Turn. The turn is next, and then the words are who's round. Oh, you also need to change it to go into history, right? Oh, maybe we just like overwrite the room entirely at this point. So you do something like this dot room dot history dot push this dot room dot round, and then this dot room dot round equals, and you're just resetting this now. This dot turn. Turn should just be reset to next. That's probably it, honestly. So this is when we just like overwrite the room. Remember set room? When we were doing reset room? I think we'll probably just do that here too. Return, oh wait, set room, this dot room. Okay. Otherwise, prepare for next. I guess the problem with this is that we're not actually writing the, so we want to write this dot round dot words of the player name equals this dot player dot word. Because otherwise, we don't actually keep track of the history, right? Turn equals next. And then I think this looks good. Return wait. Otherwise, let the next player go. And then someplace we'll just log the history, and I think that should be enough for like a nice, complicated, mostly working Shiritori app. All right, where is this? 124. Maybe I'm missing something somewhere. Oh, this should be next. Okay, reset the room. Refresh, refresh. refresh. Austin, Bob, Carol. This is kind of tedious, right? So that's why I started automating the thing. Sheep, submit word. Bob is penguin. And then Carol is narwhal. Submit word. And it's, I don't know if this worked the way I wanted it to, because I'm still seeing the old data there, right? Nothing happened in history. Like, I feel like nothing in here happened at all. Object.keys. Oh, this should be the length, at least. That's probably it. Okay. Because it was doing comparison of like a, you know, a number to like a array or something. So I think if I submit now, I should create a new round. Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe not because it didn't have the new code. One more time. Bob joins. And then penguin Z. That also didn't create a new round? That's not good. Oh, okay, at least I got an error. Player is not defined. Probably because it's the stop there. Classic. The most classic mistake you make in Vue. Carol, it's your turn. Maybe. Oh no, it's still Bob's turn. I lied. Carol. No, it's Bob. Third time's a charm. Nope, still not the charm. Cannot read property Austin of the undefined. Interesting. This.room.round.words is maybe undefined? Oh, so maybe it did go through. Okay. Well, I'm going to reset one more time and start from scratch. See if join room. This example is still maybe a little bit more complicated than I like now. Maybe I should reduce it down again. But let's start one more time. Sheep. Next is penguin. Next is, and this is the moment of truth, to see if, oh, we did not successfully, cannot read property includes of undefined. Oh no, that's not related. That's a different error thing I have that just shows up sometimes because I have a Chrome extension. You can see that. So why didn't you, I guess, okay, well, let's show one thing about how to debug. I can go into the sources, which are mapped here, and then find shiritori.html, go into line 111, and then see how this works. Wait, where did my thing go? Okay, so sheep Z, if I submit, oh, I guess the update's not being used. I could probably take that one out. But anyways, not that important. This.room.round.words. That all looks correct. So what does room look like at this point? This dot room dot round and history. There should be one thing in history, right? Okay. And nothing in room except the next person's turn, which is Bob. That looks right. And then I get cannot read property Austin of undefined. Wait. So what I'm hearing is my round is already in the correct state. Oh. My round is in the correct state, but for some reason, room.round.words? Why is this still being generated? That's the real question. That's one that doesn't make any sense to me. Because according to the View app, oh. Cannot read it of undefined. Oh. Okay, we actually really needed this words array. That's kind of annoying. Because ideally we're not that dependent on like random things. But let's try this one more time. Because it was just saying, okay, we couldn't find the player here, so this entire thing just failed catastrophically. Let's reset this room. All right. The third or fourth time for charm, right? Join. So you see, as like you kind of make this game more complicated, the more annoying it gets to test. I don't know what the solution is here. Probably just don't have too much complexity. Sheet. Good. Penguin. And then what was this one? Lion. If I'm really lucky, oh, I'm not lucky, then it will have gone to the next round. And I still need to figure out why that didn't work. Well, I guess maybe we can figure it out here. Sure. Wait, also, what is my... This dot room? Actually, I'll just go. Console. Nothing broke. So that's good. Oh! Nice. It worked, kind of. For some reason, it didn't work until the fourth entry. Oh, I know why. It doesn't off by one error, basically. Because I checked this after I put the word in. So I could fix this just by here, adding the name into here. Yeah. So just directly add it, and if we're done, then we can just submit. Otherwise, we should just push the update and move on. Okay, fifth time's a charm, maybe. And after this, I can just write a quick history function, and I think I should be good. Join room, Bob, Carol, sheep, penguin, lion. Was this cached? I should probably refresh just in case it was. Carol, lion, submit. Yeah, there, it refreshed. And then if I check my view state, it should hopefully have it in the history, just like we wanted. Nice. Okay, so finally the last thing I said I was gonna do was print out the history. So let's do that. Let's say, how much time do I have? It's probably enough. I'm wondering if I could just actually show you how to extract something out to be a custom component. Specifically, I want to extract out the thing I'm using for the printing out, not the word chain, because that's a little bit complicated. I could do that later too, maybe. But for now, just the... actually, it's a single line. Maybe it's not that complicated. Yeah, okay, I'm too lazy. So let's say this is history. I'm not gonna put it in a box because it should be like a little bit less visible. So I'll still have the heading history. And then this will be a template now, I think. So a template is just a snippet of code that gets reused. V for round in history. And I'm actually gonna add a round and an index variable too. That's R. So I'm gonna say B round, and it's indexed by 1, 0, so I'm gonna add 1 to it. And then print out the same thing here. Word player, and instead of room.round.words, it's now just round.words. Huh, that didn't work. Cool. History. Oh, this should be room.history. See what I mean? Did this break? Shit, that's not good. Oh no, I just had a breakpoint there for some reason. Okay, this is kind of annoying, hard to read, but that's okay. This is history anyways. And I want to have another, what is it called? A bit of spacing up, so I'm gonna use something neat from, actually, no, I'm gonna use something neat from Bulma, which is margin, top. I'm gonna say 4. That's like one of the spacer levels. So yeah, now this looks nicer. And what happens if we play another round? Let's say starting with lion and is narwhal again. And then it's Bob's turn. Let's find Bob. Bob needs to submit another word. After penguin is liger. Okay, that's a real animal, trust me. And then for R, it could be rat. Submit word. There we go. We have 2 rounds of history. Sheep, penguin, lion, narwhal, liger, rat. All right, there we go. I think that's like a quite reasonable implementation of a pretty simple word game. We don't have anything like rules yet, right? For example, we should probably be checking that the player can only input things like the thing that continues, so that otherwise we won't allow them to submit at all. That kind of thing. There's a lot of like extensions to this, but this is a really simple game that could be, you know, playable at least. I don't know how fun it would be to play like long term, but you could try it a few times. You could add like a category field, something you could extend on. But we built all this from scratch in an hour and a half, roughly. Nice. Hopefully you enjoyed watching along, and I'll be signing off now.